Well, hello, welcome back to my plot. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've been away. This is the first time I've been down myself in, what, about 3 weeks, something like that. We are now on, I believe, the 16th of January. So I always have a little break around Christmas time in the new year, but I've also been quite sick as well. I did get a positive test for coronavirus, which, you know, I did feel quite ill with. I certainly didn't get it bad as, you know, a lot of people, but you know, I've had to isolate and that and sweat it out. So here I am, I'm back on the plot, just looking around really, just having my first initial walk around, seeing what's happened in the last few weeks. And it's brilliant because at this time of year, not a lot really. Obviously this time in summer, if you left it for 3 weeks, you'd certainly know about it when you got back here, because it'd be absolutely up to your armpits in weeds. So yeah, the ground levelling that I started, obviously that's, you know, I'm happy with that because it is, you know, nice and sort of level. It looks a bit of a mess, but you know, it's getting there. I've just got this last little bit down here to do. Fell over nothing there, absolutely crazy. And then everything else, all the beds that I've cleared off are still clear, which is nice. So yes, it is that. What I was hoping to do is sort of mirror this plot back onto this plot, so we'll see if I get time for that this year. It always happens, I get these big plans sort of about October, November time, and then, you know, well, you know what happens, don't you? Time and life and everything else gets in the way. So I should just show you around. Let's have a little look here. Right, number one, greenhouse. This is a, what size are you? You're a 6x4, so it's only a little boy. He's all empty at the minute, no roof on it, so that's one little job to do. Next greenhouse here, this is one that definitely needs sorting out because that's still got remnants of my old chilli plants in there from last year. If you have a look in there, they're all looking very much dead now because, you know, the full brunt of winter has kicked in and sort of finished them off. Some of them were, this little one down here, were, you know, managing to survive up till, you know, sort of Christmas time. And then the weather got very, very cold. Still got a few shallots and onions there as well from last year, which is lovely. And then the other greenhouse with its seamless door. Uno momento, parfait, there we go. Right, so as everything goes echoey, it smells a bit mouldy in here, so I need to sort that out. Got my little lettuce and my oriental leaves in there, they're coming on okay. Little spring onions, white Lisbon, and some spinach. Seems to be growing all right. And then the rocket and the F1 spinach, that's doing okay. Over here, a couple of little failures really. The peas got absolutely chewed apart. That's these bad boys here. The sweet peas, have I got that right around? Yeah, they're the sweet peas. Again, they're looking quite badly nibbled. But again, I've left them alone for a month down here, so I'm surprised that they're here still at all. And then these chilli plants here are looking a bit icky, aren't they? Yes. Well, begonia in that pot there, that needs sorting out because he's gone mouldy too. Oh, yes. So out on the plot, not a lot happening really. I've got some of my lavender down here that's growing. That sits through the winter anyway. Strawberries, Tupper's old boots. You don't need to do anything with them. Just leave them to it. Give them a bit of a mulch if you like. Thyme in the mint, not looking great. Still getting used to this camera, you know. Thyme in the mint in the middle, and yeah, some chives at the back there. All my raspberry canes down here, they still desperately need cutting back. I say desperately, they just need cutting back. Don't know what the desperate's all about. Hey. Around here is a load of garlic that I missed last year, so that stuff's all starting to sprout up. And then the onion bed as well, as you can see, well, you maybe can't see in between all the weeds and that, but you know, it's that time of year. The onions take a bit of a battering. You can see this one here. You know, those leaves are just sitting loose on the floor because something's had a bit of a chew on them. But you know, other than that, we shall see how they go. Like I say, I've never overwintered onions. I always plant mine in the spring. Oh, old kneecaps. Rhubarb it's more or less asleep, but somebody needs to tell the rhubarb that because it's it still keeps trying, but as you can see, the new leaves that are coming up are just dying off as soon as they hit the frost. A little foxglove there, a little foxglove there. This is the garlic that I put in the autumn. When was it? October time. As you can see now, it's looking, you know, it's there, it's alive, but it's definitely showing signs of it being battered by the winter. It's looking a bit yellow. You know, there's holes in the leaves and everything. Don't worry too much about that because, you know, it is just what it is. These plants have had to survive a lot so far this year. It's been very cold, it's been very wet. I think you'd be looking a little bit battered and dishevelled if you've been left outside all winter as well. And don't forget, a lot of these leaves will die off anyway because they form the papery skin around the garlic bulb when it starts to swell. So yes, they're there. Might be a good idea this time of year to give them a little top dressing, some bloodfish and bone, or some chicken pellets or something, just, you know, keep them perky. I have still got parsnips in the ground down here, believe it or not. Parsnip. There we go, just see the top of a parsnip. And just see my dirty finger. Ugh, lovely. Wipe it on my jeans anyway. Flower bed still needs a good tidy up down here. We've got foxgloves on the right and the lupins on the left, just need trimming back. Yes. And the same here, I started to clear all of the lupins, and there's not globe artichokes, what's the other ones? Jerusalem artichokes. They're in there, they still need clearing out. They're globe artichokes. Sort of left them here with the big flower heads on. I don't know why, they just look kind of pretty. Well, I think they look kind of pretty anyway. That's it really. Obviously the asparagus is all asleep at the minute. Apart from one of them, I thought in all this frost it had died off. But here you go, I'd like to introduce you to a super hardy asparagus. Don't know why it's not dead, it should be. These things happen. So I'm going to be having a look at, cool, I'll take you over to my shed. Don't worry, nothing sinister. Never trust a man with a shed. Just wander over here. Don't know if I showed you these already. These were little rescue primroses. They looked absolutely dead when I picked them up, but now they look absolutely primrosy. Anyway. How's your overwintering veg doing? I've got this pumpkin here. Do you remember the one that I drew a little face on? He's still absolutely fine. No signs of any rot or anything. So he's just been sitting in my shed actually. He's been exposed to hot temperatures, cold temperatures and all sorts. This petit pan, however, is not doing so well, as you can see. Gone a bit rotten in the old head. Anyway, never mind. Right, shed's looking a bit chaotic again. I did, over Christmas, before I got ill, I did nip over to a local garden centre. Don't know why, I was just feeling like I needed to get some gardening stuff done. But it just ended up spending money instead. I bought 2 of these hybrid tea rose, National Trust. So they're going to go out in the garden at some point. You see they're all cut back and just sleeping away at the minute. Got a few buds on them coming out, just you. So they'll need to get outside as soon as possible. I got a 3rd blueberry as well, Brigitta, however you want to say it. It's another blueberry. I've got 2 outside already. I don't know if we can see them. Well, you can just see the edge of the pots there. And they're absolutely fine, so I thought I'd get a 3rd variety as well. It can only ever help with germination and pollination and, you know, blueberry nation. The grape here I've got, that's Muscat Blue. I could probably do with a bit of help with this one really, because it is, it's a grapevine and I wanted to grow it. I wondered if I could grow it through the top of my little greenhouse, brassica house there. If you guys think that's a bad idea, I might have to join. I've got 8x6 greenhouse there. I could join that to the I've got an 8x6 greenhouse there. I could join it to the 6x4 greenhouse to give myself a 12x6. I've got enough glass to do that and cover it as well, and I could grow the grapevine through the top of that. Anyway, that's just something that I've got to get sorted out. I'm going to take my hat off now and scare you all because I've given myself another COVID cut. That's not a bald patch, that's a grey patch, honest. Anyway, right, what else have I got? Oh yeah, I was in Wilko's the other day. I suppose you've all seen that Wilko's have started to get all of their New Year stuff in. I'm sure a lot of garden centres have. I tend to use Wilko's just because it's local and, you know, they've got a pretty decent selection. So I managed to get some stuff that were clearing out from the year before. It might be a bit late for these, but Chiondoxa, plant September to December, lovely blue flowers on those. So it might be a bit late on those, but they was actually reduced even further than that. They were 50p, so I thought, what the heck. And then this one, which is Scylla, or Skilla, I don't know how you want to say it. And again, just little blue flowers there. These little bulbs started to sprout, so I'll get those outside as well today at some point. Also bought some fiddy blush and blown. I bought some fish blood and bone, which is just a brilliant fertiliser. You can just scatter it straight onto your beds and the plants can take that up more or less straight away. That is left over from before Christmas, honest. I've not had a drop all this year. I think dry January or something like that. So there's that. I'm going to actually dispense these into here because that box can get very damp, and then the bloodfish and bone turns into one big lump. Anyway, stave me from ranting and from saying random words that I've just made up. I'm going to crack on and get some work done. Hopefully order that recorded all right. Now, I've got 1,000,001 jobs to do at the minute, so I thought I'd start out with a nice easy one. Obviously I bought this little blueberry plant here. It's Brigitte. So I'm just going to get this potted up into one of these pots. The reason I'm putting it in a pot rather than in the ground is that a blueberry does love ericaceous compost, which is slightly acidic, more so than in the ground normally. So if you've ever bought a blueberry and put it straight into the earth and it's not done well, that's probably, you know, going to be your first starting point there. You need to really reduce the pH level as well, just to get these guys happy. So what I've bought is this compost here. This is the Miracle Grow Premium Azalea, Camellia and Rhododendron Ericaceous Plant Compost. So this is the one that I'm going to grow them in. You can also buy ericaceous feed as well, because a regular plant feed can, you know, sort of reduce the acidity as well. So I'm just going to get some of this in. You've seen people put plants in pots before, haven't you? So I shall just do it. What I'm going to do is the old trick, when you've got a potted plant, you don't want to damage the roots. Just drop the whole thing in there like that, and it's a previous pot. And then fill the compost around it. That way you can get it nice and firm, you're not damaging anything, less chance of air pockets. And there we go, as you can see I've filled that right up now, and all I can do is pull that out. Leaves me with a lovely hole in the middle. Drop that straight in there like that, job's done. Minimal root disturbance and damage that way. Don't be afraid to fill your pots right up as well. You just need a little lip in there, about 1 inch, just to help you when you're watering, stop the water spill out everywhere. But more compost is, you know, better in my experience. There's more space for the roots, more nutrients, and more compost obviously to, you know, hold on to the water and nutrients. So there we go, that is the blueberry Brigitte. There we go, I'll put that in there because otherwise I'll completely forget what it is. And that can sit down here with the other two. Do love a lovely blueberry. I'm going to give it a watering in, not because it needs water at this time of year, but just purely to settle the compost, help it settle in around the roots and everything. So, that's that. That's a little blueberry. I'm also going to repot the other one as well. Uno momento. Oh. Oh, come on you. So I've got this one here, he's sort of, I'd say dormant, but it's still got a few leaves showing. This one's just, it's in quite a small pot, so I'm going to get that repotted. It's also showing the pot with a bramble as well, look at that. Should get rid. Right, what variety is that one? Patriot. So I'm going to do the same again there. As you can see, that's a fair old step up in size of pot, so should give it a little bit more room to grow and thrive. There we go, that's that one done as well now. Where's my label? Can't forget my label. Oh. And there we go, there's me 3 little blueberry bushes down there. That's 3 different varieties. I've always heard with blueberries, different varieties help with pollination. So if I bought 3 the same, they wouldn't do as well as 3 separate ones. Just, it's a thing. So There we go, all repotted and ready to grow away. Lovely. So the next little job that I want to tackle now is these couple of apple trees here. They are on about their 3rd year now since I planted them as bare root trees, and now when they're dormant, that's like when the leaves are off and the plant is asleep, is a great time to start pruning. So that's the next job for me. Basically what I want to be looking for when I'm pruning the tree is I want to see everything coming, see the central stem, everything wants to be coming outwards from that stem. So anything that's growing towards the central stem, or anything that's crossing over, any branches that are touching each other, I want to get rid of those. Obviously that's where branches will rub together, maybe exposing the flesh and getting disease in. And also I want it to be nice and open for plenty of airflow to be getting through. Also any branches low down, especially most fruit trees will have a graft line. You want to remove anything from below the graft line, because below the graft line is a different plant altogether. It's usually a quince or some other rootstock plant. So if you take those off, because they'll actually be more vigorous than the rest of the plant and actually weaken it, plus they won't grow any fruit on them as well. So I'm going to come down here anyway. I'm going to take off these lower leaves, these lower branches rather, because they'll be unproductive for me. So we'll take those off and nip off these few bits as well. See, this branch is coming outwards, that's nice, that's heading out in a way. All of these are as well. I've got one branch here, you see this, he's sort of coming up the middle, not really doing anything. So he's going to come off as well. That'll help open up that centre part. And then again, I'm just looking for anything that is crossing over, anything that's sort of heading inwards towards the crown. Like, if we see this branch here, that's touching this branch. Take that off to an outward facing bud. An outward facing bud means anything that grows is going to be heading out, not in, back towards the tree. So these couple of branches here, they're heading upwards, they're not very, very good. So we'll have you off. He seems okay. And really that's probably all this tree will need. It just enough just to open it up. Make sure that there's nothing really crossing over or doing what it shouldn't do. You can come out. Just making sure there's a nice, nice space in between all of the branches. Okay, I'm happy with that for now. That's nice and open. Overall height as well is okay. You can take a bit off the height, but not more than about 20%. And then the same over here. I'm going to remove this branch. And then this plant isn't huge actually, so at this time of year that's probably all that it needs. Okay, so I'm happy with that now anyway. So we've just took off a few little problem branches there. Not a huge amount, but just enough to keep the plant happy and healthy. We'll just have a walk around now, you can see pretty much what I've done. So yes, so that's your apples and your pears at this time of year. So any fruit, apples and pears, you can prune now when dormant. Anything that's got a stone in the middle, like a cherry or a plum, don't prune those now because you can introduce silverleaf disease and other issues. So leave those until spring when they've actually started to grow and the sap's rising, as they say. Oh, struggling here, dropping all my bits. Oh, right, so I've pruned my apple trees, I've pruned my raspberries, what shall I do next? Oh, right then, pruning your raspberries. If your raspberries fruited last year, your canes fruited last year, cut them off. If they didn't, leave them. That's pretty much the rule. It's not always easy to tell, but you can see on a lot of them, they've got used flower heads on. Those ones you're going to cut off. The ones that haven't flowered, they're going to flower the following year. They're your early summer fruiting raspberries, so you want to leave those. A lot of the time as well, the summer fruiting are a lot smoother. So if you have a look, here's one that's going to fruit this coming year. Nice and smooth, no branches on it. Here's one that has already fruited, so that one's going to be cut off. As you can see, it's got the flower heads flapping around on it. So I'm just going to get in there And you literally go in right down at ground level and cut those guys off, and they can be composted. So there we go, so that's the one that I'm leaving. You might actually be able to see it now. That didn't fruit last year, as you can see, just nice, straight, plain, no hairs on it. So I'm going to leave that, and that'll give me fruit in this coming year, nice and early in summertime. Lovely. Oh, I'm going to chuck this lot in the compost bin. Ow, and prickle myself with it as well. Still trying to get used to my new camera setup as well, to be honest. It's once you got used to doing things for an entire year, you have to sort of change it up again. Never mind. Ooh. Get in here and tackle these nasty chilli plants, I think, because as I'm sure you'll agree, they've had it. I'm going to try and do is save the compost on here. I'll just chop the tops off, because they're not coming back. And then what's in there, I'll just sling it on my beds like I did earlier last year. Whew, yeah. It actually gets quite warm in the greenhouse during the daytime. I don't use any greenhouse heaters myself, probably because I'm down here on the allotment. I've not got power. If I put anything expensive in, solar or anything like that, I'm always going to run the risk of it going missing, shall we say. I've always thought that greenhouse heaters are more of a sort of greenhouse at home sort of territory. And when you're down on the plot, you get a nice little extended season. You get some slightly hotter conditions in a greenhouse during the summer. But as for overwintering and heaters and that, I mean, it'd be interesting to know if any of you guys have got anything that's set up that actually works in the way of sort of solar power or anything. Because I'm not messing about with electricity down here, and I don't want generators and all the rest of it. So it's a bit of a mess in here, isn't it? Look at the state. Oh. As for sowing seeds at this time of year, very little that I've actually started at the minute. I've done some chilli seeds, which I shall show you. Nothing's come up yet. I literally did them a couple of days ago, so it's just a tray of compost at the minute. Again, this year I'm going to probably rein in the amount of chilies that I grow, because as you can see from these plants, a lot of them have got unharvested chilies on them, just purely because I was growing way too much for what I needed. I do enjoy growing the plants, which is the main thing, you know, if you enjoy the process, but I've got to be realistic as well and realise that, you know, my greenhouse space can probably be better used for other things. It's like here, you see, I've got a load of, come on, words. What are you? You're a chilli. Your name is, I'm going to cheat. KN. Flipping out, you know, in words of age, a load of KNs there, you know, and they're, you know, they could probably be used at a push, but I've got that many. I've got thousands in bags in my freezer still. So with that in mind, yeah, I'm going to rein it in a bit. Yeah, other seeds at the minute. I mean, a lot of tomato plants have on the label sow from January, and to be honest with you, in the past I have tried to sow tomato plants in January, and in the lovely warm conditions at home they do grow. They go a bit leggy because they've got no light, but then what happens is sometime sort of mid to end of February you've got these massive tomato plants that you've got to try and look after. They're going leggy because they're desperate for more sun. You know, you're running out of window space in the house. Every single windowsill and light area is completely chock-a-block. So tomatoes, probably early March for me, because then I'll get them outside into the greenhouse sometime in May, early May, because I can easily get a frost out this way first week of June, believe it or not. So there's no real advantage for me in starting tomatoes out at this time of year. Same with a lot of other plants. They say sort of, you know, sow February, and it's the same thing. You end up with just thousands of plants like way too early, until the garden outside is warm enough to sustain them. you know, you're sort of stuck with all of these tender plants indoors. So I certainly won't be starting anything other than my chilies for a long while now. So yes, really, even, you know, with a heated, you know, they sell heated propagators, they're selling seeds. Again, you know, seeds inside the house just with your central heating will probably grow fine without a propagator. But again, they grow and then you've got to do something with them. So it's not a case that they won't grow, it's a case that, you know, for me, I've got another 3 or 4 months before I can even think about putting a tomato plant outside. So if I go and grow 20 tomato plants indoors in 2 weeks, 2 months rather, massive, great big leggy tomato plants that I'm trying to look after. So, you know, I mean, do it by all means if you want to. I mean, the way that I, you know, found out all of this is through doing it and through learning and experiencing it. So I shall pass on my experience and then you guys can do what you want because it's your lives. Okay guys, well that's about it from me for today anyway. I just wanted to do a quick video, let you all know that I'm still alive. Hi. Yeah, so hopefully normal service should be resumed now. Hopefully get back here every week or every other week with some updates until, you know, things really start getting kicking. January, isn't it? You know, there's not a heck of a lot happening. You know, you've got a few bits that you can harvest maybe, but there's not a whole lot crack-a-lacking in the garden. So yeah, I suppose your main jobs for the minute, just keep, you know, preparing your beds, make sure, you know, they're all dug over or nicely manured. You can keep harvesting your plants from last year, your parsnips and your kale and things like that. And yeah, that's about it really. Start making plans, make sure you've got all your seeds. Get your potatoes chitted if you've seen them in the shops.